I was gonna say. Ooh, infield pass.
Oh, yes,
Nice.
that was excellent play out of Condors.
Now, oh, but he can't get away from it. Slightly takes him down on the backside of the fight. One goes down as well. Quatch gets taken down. And look, with the very siren just push away, still alive. But now here comes the four-man shockwave. But doesn't even matter because Quartz the field back.
Hello and welcome to tonight's NECC Nationals League of Legends stream. Now, this stream has been a while in the making because we had a pretty good break there because our League of Legends teams, our Condors varsity team, well, they're just so good they skipped the group stage. So we had an extended break for League of Legends, plenty of time for them to practice, and that means that we are starting off in quarterfinals for their Nationals run. Where Rocket League, we saw them in group stage, we saw them kick some proverbial butt and advance to their bracket stage as well. So tonight's match is, well, Conestoga Condors against the Brooklyn Bulldogs Maroon. Yes, that is one of their school colors is actually burgundy. It's not technically maroon, so I'm not quite sure where they get that color from. But I digress. And now hopefully we are just moments away from lobby. I'm excited to see what this game brings because there's plenty of action to be had here. But we're always busy. We wear many, 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 many hats. That's part of the fun. And so League of Legends is currently on, I think, 13.11 right now, which means that there's been a few significant changes in the meta as well since we last saw them. It's no longer, I would say, a tank-oriented meta. It's now Assassins got buffed. We see predominantly Yuumi and Aphelios in the bot lane as well. So there's definitely been some mix-ups here as well. And honestly, I have no idea what these two teams are going to pick. And it shall be interesting regardless. Now, it looks like we are going to start on blue side. So I got to make sure I have the overlay set up for that as well. Because, we try to be professionals around here. We're still learning, but we try. So, Conestoga against Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn was in a different Champions division, so I'm not quite sure how they will match up to us. I know they made it out of their Champions division to qualify for Nationals in the first place. They had beaten teams like Queen's University, which have previously beaten us in the past. So this could be a very close matchup based on those transient matches sort of thing. But right now, anything goes because it has been an extended break. You never quite know which team comes off of a break when you have a break, you either come back hot or you come back cold. Sometimes you're a little bit lukewarm and you got to find your groove. Sometimes it could just be a shock to the system, but right now, both these two teams, they're in lobby. They're setting up the draft law. And so I get a look at some of their ranks. And now these ranks, I'm going to say, aren't entirely accurate because they can be skewed by different things, whether they're TFT or whatnot. But it does seem like I would say Brooklyn has the edge here. They got their lowest ranked member is Diamond 4, where ours is Platinum 1. Small discrepancy there. We both have a Masters tier player, then everyone else is somewhere in Diamond. So, comparably, ranks are roughly on par, though it does skew a little bit to Brooklyn right now. So it shall be interesting. I do believe that Brooklyn is fielding a sub first with Phil, and maybe swapped out later on. And I do know that the Condors do have some bans that they are waiting to unleash. But until then, I'm in the dark just as everyone else because I can't be giving away trade secrets before we even get going now, can I? That just wouldn't be fun to anyone. Now, I think we're almost ready. Oh. Okay. I see readies in chat. So I'm going to take us over now to the draft scene. Right, so Condors are on blue side. Brooklyn is on red side. which makes sense. They're Maroon, they got Burgundy in their name. It's thematic, we'll say, or at least to start off with. So we do see Alawi being the first ban out for the Condors, and Alawi is being a terror in the top lane for a very, very, very long time. We don't see it in competitive play as much because it does have some very stark weaknesses that can be played around or into. But her raw strength as a bruiser top laner can be terrifying. And so, if you're comfortable in that champion, it's definitely one to get rid of. I know there used to be a Condors player named Aeolus who would play it top lane as well. He was either a Pantheon or an Alawi 1-trick or 2-trick, and he would draw bans on it every single game back in the OPSE. So, it's been like that for numerous years when it comes to Alawi. If you're good at it, you ban it away from that player. Now we're seeing the bans like Nocturne, Shen, Aurelion Sol. Shen and Aurelion Sol are comfort picks for the Condors right now. They know how to play these champions. They can play in almost anything. And Aurelion Sol has been top of the meta now for a few patches ever since his rework. And even with a few nerfs and adjustments to his numbers, he still finds his way to climb up there. And that's because people are getting more comfortable on the champion. They're finding out where those thresholds, those power spikes, truly lie. Where Nocturne, nobody likes playing into the darkness. That's why we have Vision Wards, to give us vision. Nocturnes just shuts down the map. We just get rid of that nonsense here. So Condors also ban out the Jarvan 4. I know Lopaczynski can play it as well. But sometimes you just got to take it away from the enemy. And Brooklyn bans out Varus. Now Varus is a bit of an interesting pick. He is a potential triple flex. And there has been some, I wouldn't say rumors, but the Korean meta has had Varus top building AP for quite a while now. It's been a lower tier pick, but recently his pick rate has shot up by 4 times as much. He's being talked about on or in the larger scene, and he can play mid, top, or ADC. So triple flex, it's just safer to ban it out. So it's a smart ban by Brooklyn. I'm not actually sure if it's in the pool for anyone on Condor's side though. But Kha'Zix is definitely a carry jungler that Lopaczynski can lean into. He definitely likes the Wukong, the Vise, and now the Kha'Zix, that assassin burst that I mentioned earlier, how they got a little bit favored with a couple patch notes, and that was mainly because of the item changes, such as the Yumumu's Ghost Blade. I probably add an extra syllable in there, but that's okay. So, Brooklyn, they get a triple flex in Gragas, who can go top, mid, jungle. He could even go support if he really wanted to, but that is definitely an unorthodox pick for him there. He's a solid tank, can deliver a phenomenal amount of AP as well, safe pick as well. So, respect there for Brooklyn. Then Leona is one of those hard engaged supports. You love to see it or you love to hate it depending on your support mythology. I'd rather see a hard engaged support because they're funner to watch. They have more interactivity rather than a enchanter or a caster type support, which just sits back, pokes, casts some spells, and they don't really interact with the enemy as much. So Condors, they have opted for the Jhin and the Lissandra. Jhin, he does what AD carries do. He builds damage, then he pops people, especially with that 4th shot. Lissandra, the Queen of the Ice. Is she a queen? I know she's part of the Watchers according to the lore, which is a sacred organization that counters the void or the darkness that's coming in the Freljord. But lore aside, she's icy. She's cool. And in these summer months, some ice is always appreciated. And her specialty is early game lockdown crowd control. She has multiple forms of it, and level 6, that Frozen Tomb will lock someone down. Where Kassadin, on the other hand, he's that late game carry potential who you want to see make it out of the mid early game and into that late game, especially level 16. That's when he really shines, and his Rift Walker ult really comes into fruition in being able to cast multiple times. Where before level 6 especially, he's vulnerable to ganks. After level 6, his mobility is hard to match for anyone. Whew. Okay, so quickly looking at the rest of the bans or the second ban phase, we have Cassante and Fiora, another top tier pinch. They're kind of odd seeing that the Gragas is already picked, but as I said, Gragas is a flex, so better safe than sorry. Where the side of Brooklyn, they've taken out the Poppy and Kled. Those are 2 carry picks for Eternity in the top lane. We were blessed, I'll say, when we were able to see Eternity get a 1v2 kill on the Poppy, it was just phenomenal. Brooklyn apparently watched our VODs. They took some notes. And they took Poppy off the board. And for themselves, they've opted into Aphelios, which is one of those tier 1 ADCs right now, or S tier. And I would imagine the support usually paired with that is a Lulu, but they have a Leona instead, so Lulu probably not going to be picked here. Where Senna gets locked in now for our support. The double ADC, plenty of range, plenty of poke. A little bit squishy, so they do have to be careful. And then we have the Mordekaiser top lane, which acts as our front line. All in all, I would say a decently rounded composition for the Condors, but it's kind of squishy, I would say. It's a little bit feast or famine, especially with the likes of an assassin jungler. If you can't assassinate your target, you don't do much. Whereas with a tank or a bruiser, you can always at least stand toe-to-toe and fight and be a bit of a frontline. Assassins can't really do that. They do damage and then they get out. Now, Kha'Zix was buffed a little bit, I would say, in prior patches where his Q isolation now needs less space for it to proc, where before it was quite a large area that you could play safe in. Now it's a little bit more punishing if you don't group up and hug your teammates. And so, to cut the tension, the last champion picked is Gwen, the seamstress, I believe it is, who has a giant pair of scissors, looking to cut down the competition. But she runs along the ground and the Condors fly in the air. So, we see both compositions now and what they're like. The late game scaling on Brooklyn is absolutely nutty. If Brooklyn actually make it to, we'll say, 25 minutes, 30 minutes for sure, when they're fully online with items, 100% Brooklyn will win this one. The later it goes, Brooklyn wins. Unless they throw a team fight and Condors get the win. Otherwise, I think Condors have at least a little bit better of an early game. They have some opportunities there, and it will depend on Lopachinski getting fed. If he cannot get fed on this Kha'Zix, he cannot assassinate key members, and therefore he falls off. But even then, the only person he can really assassinate based on the Brooklyn's team is Aphelios. Everyone else will have some sort of damage mitigation, immunity, reduction, or will just be too beefy overall. So Condors, they're the ones that have to play or take the initiative here in this game one. And yeah. So, those are my thoughts on the draft. We are going to throw it to a quick break. And when we come back, we will be into game one, hopefully, barring any spectator bugs, because Riot loves its spectator bugs. So I know there's one out there right now. Hopefully we don't run into it. But if we do, I will update you when I can. So, see you on the other side of this break. It should only be about 5 minutes? Yeah, we'll go with 5 minutes.
Summoner's Rift.
Okay, and here we go. We have our official match up and running.
30
We have
seconds
the
until
Condors
minions
on blue
spawn.
side and the Brooklyn Bulldogs Maroon on the red side. I could see it come through on the stream, which is good, because the spectator bug was that if you were trying to spectate, you would get infinitely stuck on 0 seconds in a spectator delay loop. So we made it past that. We broke the time loop. Now we get to see some League of Legends, and hopefully we're rewarded for our patience and our efforts here as well.
Minions have spawned.
So right now, fairly standard start by the looks of it. We have both junglers warding the top quadrant red buff. You know, right there, we see them. They're both pinged out, and both reset for sweepers as well. So standard start, roughly 5 point. I would almost call this 4 point with how quickly the junglers reset themselves. Current jungle meta is my specialty because I am a jungler. And generally, you want to go leashless right now because it allows your team to get into their lanes quicker and get that early lead going for themselves, because every CS early matters. You only need about 6 minions to hit level 2, give or take. I can tell the jungler, I don't actually know the exact threshold for the minion because it differs based on the lane. But either way, being in lane early means you pick up the tempo. And so being able to do a leashless start for junglers is what you need to be able to do right now. And we saw that with both Kha'Zix and Gragas starting different camps, mind you, but solo. Gragas started Raptors, went up to red buff, and potentially looking for a level 3 camp Trinity in this top lane, where Kha'Zix, Lopachinski, he started blue buff, and he is now pathing down. He definitely wants to focus on his bot lane if he can. Get Jhin, get Senna ahead there. And hopefully get the snowball going. You know, Kha'Zix is a bug that you really ought to squash, but oftentimes he's the one that squashes you if you're not careful. So we do see the range advantage coming out right now for the Condors bot lane, and a potential disconnect there, and there's the ensuing pause. So I'm going to assume that pause is directly related to the disconnect that we just saw. So this is the perfect time to give a rundown of the rosters. For Conestoga Condors, we have Eternity in the top lane, Lopachinski in the jungle, Dorius as our mid laner, who also used to go by Become Decker. So a bit of a name change there for you longtime fans. And now we have Slayers in the ADC position and Slightly as the support. Where on the side of the Brooklyn Bulldogs, we have the Hath Leon for ages. I want to say Hulp. Hulp? Wulp? Hawulp? Yeah, we'll go with Hawulp there in jungle. Snatch as the mid laner. Invisible Love for the ADC. And then we have Phil filling in for support, or so I'm told. Now, Invisible Love sounds like an Austin Powers movie. I mean, there was a spy that shagged me, so why not Invisible Love? But that's besides the point here tonight, because we're here for League of Legends, not for Austin Powers. And because there was a pause, you know, we always gotta do a little bit of things. So we do a quick time skip backwards to debuffer or buffer that pause there for a bit. Eternity forced to flash out as Gwen aggressed heavily there, and that was a good flash by Eternity, because if that Ignite went down, Eternity on this Mordekaiser probably would have went to the under realm, because Mordekaiser is already the ruler of the dead, so what's below the dead plane? The gray screen? The realm of the gray screen, I guess, is what it is. But regardless, score is still 0 apiece right now. And we do see that both junglers have roughly done a full clear of their jungle. With bottom priority going to Conestoga, they are able to move into river to secure that first scuttle. But there could be a fight here as it is spotted out now in Slayers. Phil's going for the engagement with the display. Gragas with the flash body slam gets 2, and the Condors are chunked down here. But Phil gets dropped for Lopachinski. The bug slices that one down. Now he's after the fat man, wants some of that alcoholic blood to drink himself. But the Invisible Love, he's doing a fair amount of damage himself. Now it's ADC to ADC. Dorius with the first move from mid. And now Invisible Love with Ghost popped is just able to kite that fight out. So 2 for 2 overall there. And it's a little bit questionable where you value the gold, because Brooklyn got 2 kills onto the affiliate, which is massive. Whereas Conestoga, they got 1 kill on the Kha'Zix, 1 kill on the Jhin. So they've split their gold amongst their carriers, which could be extremely valuable, or it could be a little bit of the downfall. I don't know yet, do we? So slightly blocked down just out of tower range there, and he's chunked heavily. Invisible Love, he's actually getting burned down, but he gets the kill on to Slightly there. But there's a fight in the mid lane here as Gwen is going to get popped by Eternity's Mace, and there it is. So a trade kill for kill roughly across the board, but still, there was a kill that I missed there, and it was Dorius dying. So Dorius died to Gwen there. Slightly died bot to the Aphelios, and that Aphelios is going to have a very, very nice back. And that's going to be a scary Aphelios. 3 kills at the 5-minute mark. Comes back with boots, and what else? Ooh. That's not quite a static shiv. What is that? They Purchase shard. I butchered that as well. But that's okay. I'm not here for my pronunciation. That's not what I'm going to be remembered for. I shall be remembered for my power. Maybe awesome power references. Okay, so both teams deadlocked at 10k apiece right now. Snatch is going in on Dorius with that Rift Walker, and you can see how that level 6 provides so much damage and mobility for him. So there's the first team Slightly with the Senna. They're potentially going to have him down, as Snatch probably doesn't have the man to get away, and he doesn't, so Slightly picks the kill there. A great roam, and this could get a little bit extra gold into Condors' pocket, but they do not opt for a tower push, and Slayers with a great cleanse there because he was about to get locked down by Phil. The Zenith Blade into that Q stun is potent, and I believe it's about 3 seconds CC in total if you layer it just right. So Gragas hovering bot as well, Slightly spots that out, pushes him a little bit off, and now it could be a fight here as Lobachinski is hovering just to be sure, but Slightly takes a little bit of chip damage there. Now, both top laners, level 6, vying for supremacy here, and that almighty 8-minute priority. So they have priority at 8 minutes, their team can then do the Rift Herald in a relatively safe fashion. But Eternity, he's getting chopped down to shreds by that snip ability from Gwen. Gwen is the reason why you don't run with scissors. You can do a lot of damage. Now, we do see that Slayers Slightly have been pushed in a little bit, which does mean that Invisible Love and Phil are susceptible to ganks. But because Aphelios is so strong right now, it is really hard to win, especially with Ghost as well. And Condors are lacking a little bit of point and click CC. So actually getting a lockdown on Invisible Hand in order to burst is quite hard. And as you can see, there is a substantial level difference here, with both Slayers and Slightly being a level down respective to their counterparts. Now Lobachinski here, Gwen, it's going to be a chaotic 3v3 here, but Snatch over the wall gets the damage down, and now Lobachinski drops as well. That's 2 for the Brooklyn Bulldogs so far. And now Trinity's in the wrong side of the jungle here, even though it's his own side, and he also gets just cut down to pieces there. Eternity apparently doesn't last forever this time around. Now Slightly Slayers to get a little bit of lockdown there. Phil is brought in a tower that will be some chip damage down. And it looks like Slayers Slightly, they're winning the health fight. They're looking for the kill on the Phil. They get it with the curtain call, and now it's a matter of trying to kill this Invisible Love. But he stays healthy, and now with that Ghost is able to run it out as well. Slayers trying to chase it down, but can't quite get into range for it, despite the flash. Has the 4-shot primed, and you can see Invisible Love pay respect to that. And I think that fight could have gone completely in favor of Conestoga if Slayers canceled the current call a little bit sooner, because Invisible Love was able to step out of it and therefore be safe from that ultimate and any damage it could put out. So I think canceling it sooner may have been the better choice. But that is nitpicking an otherwise okay play. They went 1 for 1 overall, though they did burn a more important summoner in the flash. Cool. So we're seeing Gwen right now, 3-1-1, 50% kill participation. And Eternity, he's doing his best to hang in there. Him being behind right now is no fault of his own, as Gwen has 3 kill participation, or 2 kills and an assist from elsewhere on the map. Eternity hasn't actually lost a 1v1 yet. Now Snatch, using the Frozen King, trying to lock him down. Snatch there, but Snatch is able to get away with the flash from the Rift Walker. Now Eternity's in a 1v2 situation. He gets shredded by 1,000 needles from Gwen. So Brooklyn once more finding kill, and they are starting to carve themselves a gold lead right now. It's 9-5 kills with about a, I'll call that a 2,000 gold lead. I'll be generous. 2,000 gold lead. You know, let's get those decimals out of here for now. So, Condors, they're finding themselves in a little bit of a rut patch, which I hate to say is a little bit of their MO. Condors, they fall behind early before finding a way to claw back in the mid game to make a competitive late game. But right now, you're giving the late game team an advantage. Because once you get a late game team already at a late game stage, when it's, we'll say, the mid game, it's terrifying. Now Slightly so quick. He has to flash right out of that Lunar Eclipse. Solar Flare, that's what it is. Right out of that Solar Flare. And, you know, still loses half his HP for it. Built a little bit chunk damage. The Condor is still roughly fighting on even kill in terms of CS. Sally's that way. Now Slightly pops Johnny Shadow to stay alive there. The chain 1-1 Lopachinski is there, and the Invisible Love should go down. And he does. There's no cryogenic freeze to keep Invisible Love safe this time. Would Invisible Love be the bad guy now if we're talking Austin Powers terms? You know what? I'll leave the chat to decide what role Invisible Love would play in Austin Powers. Because clearly he couldn't play the superstar. That's where it's locked down. Now Snatch going in a 1v3 fight here, and he gets annihilated. I'm sorry, I butchered that one without even trying to. Annihilated? Annihilated. There we go. He just got annihilated by Lopachinski there. It was a bit of a greedy play out of Snatch there, admittedly, but I think Cassidy is fairly strong right now. We see he is sitting on his Mythic and just waiting for that 10th proc before he gets the extra level up and hits that late game mark all the sooner. And Eternity, he's got the Ignite, but he will survive that brawl there in the top lane too. But still, not looking great for him right now, as Gwen has priority, has pressure, and could look to dive. But Lopachinski is going to be there to back up the mustache man himself, and he hops in. Gwen takes a tower shot, and this should be an easy pickup for Lopachinski, and it is. But that means on the far side of the map, we do have Rift Herald going down, and it's 2v3 there. Invisible Love with the power crouch, but Dorius is there, and they could look for an early pickup onto Phil here. Trade back at least 1-for-1, but it's going to be a 1-for-2 most likely. Invisible Love has room, has space to work with. Now Slightly's under tower, trying to stay alive, needs to kite it out a little bit more, but there's a giant minion wave there. Tower aggro has been dropped, so Gragas is free to engage on the Senna and pick up the kill there. So a 3-for-1 trade with tower plays going in favor of Brooklyn there. And now that goal lead is starting to actually get past that 2K mark and be solidified. We have a 4-1-6 Gragas. This is an AP Gragas, by the way. It isn't a tank Gragas, as he's gone with the Night Harvester instead of something like the Everfrost or the Frozen Gauntlet. Maybe Rylite can get away with it. You don't normally see that. So, Conestoga. Down 4K, or 3K in gold. 4 kills. 14 minutes of turret plates just falling off, which means that there's less gold on the map now, because that gold, I would say, just disappears. You get bonus gold for taking the tower plates, and when the tower plate's no longer there, that gold just disappears. You can't get it back in other ways. And so Dorius, you get engaged on my snatch. Hulk is there as well. Looks to be forced to run out because that isolation damage just doesn't do enough. And all 5 members there of Brooklyn are there for the second dragon. The first dragon did go over to Conestoga, which was a good thing. It delays Soul by at least 5 minutes, and it is going to be a Cloud Soul now for the rest of this game, which, honestly, is a little bit terrifying because Cloud Soul has ults, cooldown reduction built into it as one of its perks. When you have someone like Cassie who wants to ult consistently and quickly in succession, that's absolutely massive. It also benefits someone like Gwen who has a very long ult cooldown. But now it's your neat Gwen. They're duping it out. Scissors versus Mace. It isn't your classic rock, paper, scissors here, but it's going to be close. Now Eternity, he could get turned on there, and he does. The true damage coming out of Gwen is enough to secure that kill. And now Gwen, I would say, firmly has control in this top lane here, even though Item is roughly on parity with one another. Okay, Solar Flare comes out, fight goes through, Zenith Blade misses, now Loki is there, and he's forced back pretty quickly. And so Phil, a bit isolated, he's able to stay alive now. Visible Love flashes in, he goes in 1v3, and he's going to come out on top. This is just how bad this Aphelios is. But the Frozen Tomb is there, and if anything, that is a death Canadian style. Does that make sense? Or would be buried in maple syrup be a more Canadian death? Good thing I was drinking there, because that was one hell of a whiff there out of Gragas. But also great sidestep out of Dorius there. And now you see the second Rift Tower drop mid, so mid-tier 1 will drop for the Condors, and this will open up the map for the Brooklyn Bulldogs. Now, at this point of the game, we are firmly into the mid-game. First towers have dropped. People are rotating around the map. Multiple dragons have been taken. There is nothing early about this game anymore. Okay, so looking at game state, because this game is up and enacted, and Snatch, he gets engaged on by Lobachinski. Don't see window the wall from Snatch. Rift walk out of there, but doesn't come through, as it's going to be Slayers picking it up with the current call. And we know Conestoga wants to break this mid-tier 1 tower. They want to open up the map for themselves as well. Unfortunately, their siege potential isn't that great when their only front line is in bot. So, maybe a little bit of a glaring draft weakness there, but it is what it is at this point. You got to play with what you drafted. Okay, the game state overall, we do see each team have 1 dragon apiece. It's 2,500 gold lead for the Bulldogs. Baron is up in 2 minutes and 20. Dragon is up in 1 minute 50. So these two teams right now, they don't need to fight each other. If they're fighting each other, I would almost say it's pointless. Unless someone gets caught out, whether it's in a rotation or a ward, there really is no need to fight right now. Unless you over-aggress, overstep, or if you really want to get in tower. And right now, I would say that would be Conestoga's motives, is to fight for that mid-tier 1 tower. But the Bulldogs, they have priority on that top side of the map. They've invaded. They're waiting for someone to rotate to maybe help Dorius here. Otherwise, they have a 1v4 in this top lane, and they are going to look for Dorius here. He does have TP available, so can maybe get out. It's a little bit of chip damage on the Snatch, but that's not going to be enough. And Dorius, I think, just needs to go up and TP out of that. I think a recall is going to get stopped. Bill with the Hex Slash in, and the recall actually gets off. So Dorius, he gets a lucky break with that one, but they still lose the tier 1 top tower. And Gwen is able to stay alive bot as well, and still that tower doesn't drop. So overall, Bulldogs, with a successful play, they do get the TP out of Snatch. So maybe a little less map proud now, but TP goes in first. Gwen, and ooh, that's some monstrous damage there. You could almost say the damage chart's bugged out on that one. So, the Dragon, 20 seconds. Condors, priority. This is a good sign because even though Gwen has TP, she will be TPing late to the fight. The Dragon will have already started, and with Conestoga's damage right now, they could probably burst it down quick enough. But we do see Dorius here in the top lane. He took the blue buff by the looks of it, so he's in there, and now it's going to be a fight, and it's going to be the Gragas who's dropped low, but it's not finished yet. Bill goes in, and it's going to be a 1v5 Leona. The power of the sun isn't enough, but still, it goes on. Snatch gets locked down there on the back end of the fight. Bill finally drops. Now the fight kind of gets chaotic as there's multiple fronts going on, as Gwen is able to TP to that fight in time, but Conestoga, they stand strong. They get 2 kills, and they get the Dragon. But Gwen is hovering there, looking for something, maybe. But wise enough, the Bulldogs, they don't keep pressuring a lost fight. Now, Lobachinski, he's looking for this. He wants it. He sees Snatch is low, and with his damage, he could potentially get it. But, fortunately enough, the Bulldogs, they have the tower there for safety, and they step back. Whew. That was a chaotic sequence. But overall, Conestoga played that way. Played that right. They got a pick in the bottom half of the map, which allowed them to set up and get priority over the Dragon and River area, which then allowed them to win an ensuing fight when Bulldogs had to try and take back that space down a man, and before Gwen could actually get to the fight. So overall, a great series of events for Conestoga. They are proving that they are still very much in this match and are competitive. They're still down about 900 gold overall. They, I believe, are still down a tower. Yes, they're down that mid tower right now. Both side lanes are on par. And Baron will be the next objective that these two teams can look at for the next 4 minutes. And that's a double ultimate coming out of the side of the Bulldogs, looking for a pick on the Slayers. But Slayers is able to get out of that with a good cleanse and Gale Force. Ooh. Okay. Baron is by far the next objective, but right now Snatch is kind of caught out here. Lopachinski has plenty of damage, so is Snatch right now, but the first team comes in clutch, and that will be Conestoga getting that side lane pick. And now Eternity's feeling emboldened as he fights Gwen here, and he is winning this fight. 100% winning it. It wasn't even close. And now, with 2 down, Conestoga goes straight to the Baron. And Eternity does have TP. I would love to see Eternity push for a tier 2 tower in the meantime, and then TP to Baron if need be. There's no one there to answer him, and he does finally start moving up to that tier 2, but it's a little, maybe too little too late right now. As the bot lane for the Bulldogs, they are potentially caught here in the mid lane. Bill, slowed down by the curtain call, slightly needs to catch up, get the stun, and I think Invisible Love needs to sacrifice your support. Sacrifice Bill, Solar Flare goes down. Now Eternity comes from behind. There's a flash out of Invisible Love, goes spot 2. And that's both summoners out of your ADC. Darius, he's still trying to make a play happen, but Invisible Love is putting out so much damage, and the Sanju does drop. Snatch is there, and it's been a chaotic as Lopachinski drops, Gragas drops, and so the Bulldogs get 2, but they lose 4 in the process. And that's just not worthwhile at all. It's just not. Because there's still 3 Baron buffs left alive on the Condors. There's now being close to a 3, 4, we'll say 4, maybe 5,000 gold swing at this point if they get this tier 2 tower down as well, which they should very well do, because that's a lot of damage sitting right there for the Condors. But Gwen throws her ult to try and cut the wave. They do lock Trinity down from the tower. He's got to pop a shield, but he isn't able to pop it in time. TP comes through for Darius. They're looking to get some CC down on someone, but Phil is able to get out just in the nick of time. And now Snatch keeping in behind, and Condors, they may have overstayed their welcome. They need to leave ASAP before more comes through. And there's the Solar Flare. Dorius pops the Frozen Tube on himself to stay alive, but Snatch gets a kill. Snatch tries to get another, but it doesn't work as Lopachinski is there to turn the fight. And now Gragas and Gwen, they got to walk away too. It feels like both these two teams, they're scrappy. They got more scrap in them than Scrappy from Scooby-Doo. And I don't even need my glasses to see that one. Glasses do help though. Cool. Okay, so Gragas, level 14. Kha'Zix, level 15. Clearly, we have the superior jungler right now. We being the Conestoga Condors. And that is helping out a lot. We do see Lopachinski there sitting on 17 out of 25 kills, which is a good amount there. If I was better at math, I could tell you the percentage. But now Phil steps up, he's chunked down the half, gets locked down. Gragas is there to help body block things, and they're just poking Phil down. Though Slightly did take quite a bit of damage there too. Eternity with the level lead, looking for a fight here with Gwen. Actually, Gwen is up for that fight too, but the Death Realm is popped. Eternity, he's putting down the hurt as best he can, but he doesn't quite want to take that fight just yet, as the dragon is back up for the Condors. They look to get their third dragon of the game, but this moves them on to Soul Point. And Soul Point means that next dragon gives them Soul, and when they get Soul, they get those fancy ultimate buffs that I alluded to beforehand. I didn't forecast. But Snatch, look for Eternity. Lopachinski is there, pops the Gwen, the Seamstress. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that one. Seamstress gets popped because, you know, you always pop a seam when you least expect it or want to, whether it's the seam of your pants or a shirt. Those pesky seams, they get popped sometimes. Maybe it's always been a bug with some scythe-like hands. Now Eternity in a 1v3 situation, you stay alive for an awful amount of time there. And Lopachinski wise enough to let his friend die. And all he has to do is slow down the recalls without dying himself, because his team picked up towers elsewhere on the map. So Conestoga Condors playing the macro game correctly. And now we can see their efforts here in the past 10 minutes have really helped themselves get back into the game. Because at the 16-minute mark, the game was entirely in favor of the Brooklyn Bulldogs. They were a late game comp hitting early power spikes, but now they've had fumble after fumble, and Conestoga, they've taken those opportunities to the bank. They're still waiting for the bank to clear it and give them the win, but you know, those checks have been deposited. Maybe a few more to grease the wheels and the win will be theirs, but it's looking good. They have a 5,000 gold lead, which is significant. Most games are won with under a 3k gold lead, I would say, because it would be an even match. If you're, you know, anywhere from the 5,000 to 10,000 gold lead, you, I would say, won the game. At that point, you just need to not throw it away. Now, if you have a 500 or 1,000 gold per minute advantage, then you've absolutely won the game. You just need to finish it. So Conestoga isn't quite at that point yet. The Condors still have some room to fly. And now you can see Snatch is just getting chunked by Lopachinski. That's disgusting. 3 Qs, 3 swipes of his claws, and Snatch is dead. But it's traded back. Slightly gets caught there by the Gragas barrel. And now it's Bill's overstepped her bounds there. Gragas, he's low, he's in Zanya's that golden time, but a moment of time, because he's dead. He's gray screen. He shall never see the likes of gold again. And Conestoga, with a super minion wave right on the doorstep of the inhibitor, they are going to look to end this game. It will just be Snatch up who could possibly defend this, but that is a whole lot of damage on the Condor side. And you can tell, these these Nexus towers are dropping. Snatch has to go, and he does. He's trying to get something going. He's Zanya's Condor ship focus to the tower, and Snatch only level 15. He's 2 levels under the jungler. This is absolutely atrocious. And Conestoga Condors, they look to pick up game 1 here at the 29-minute mark. It looked a little bit rough there. It truly did. But 29-minute mark with a... I gotta do the mental math here for this one. That's a 7,000 gold lead. At the end there, it was a 7,000 gold lead that Conestoga won with. They came back from a deficit of 2k to win it with 7. They got the pick in the side lane, they won the ensuing fight, and then because of the minion waves, they were able to walk in. Which means that the Brooklyn Bulldogs, they weren't managing their wave states correctly, and will have to be something that they fix in the next game. But also, I'm expecting some new draft picks because there were some holes on both team comps there. Don't get me wrong, Conestoga played it well and abused the positioning out of the Bulldogs, but they still got some work to do. They got to clean up their early game to make these games a little bit easier. And so, I'm going to throw it to a quick break, and when we come back, we will be doing Game 2 draft. So, we'll see you on the other side.
drum to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
Well, we're back. These two teams are eager to go for game 2 of this series, and you can tell that the Bulldogs, they've already made some draft adaptations as we see both their Aurelion Soul and the Kha'Zix being banned out. And, well, we saw what Lopachinski did on the Kha'Zix, so that ban is a good adaptation by the Bulldogs. And we also see the Victor being banned out, so definitely some mid-priority with those bans. Where Condors, they're sticking to the script so far with the Alawi, the Nocturne, and who's the other band that they had? J4. That was the other band that they did. This time, they're banning out the Caston because Snatch, while he was put down there pretty frequently towards the end of the game, it was still a good performance on the Caston and was still a potential carry. And if that game went on much longer, I think definitely would have come online. This time, it's going to be the Bulldogs taking the Sandra, and therefore they have pinched the pool for Dorius here. But there's always the Annie, the little fiery toddler that throws fire and bears at people. Not quite unbearable, but still pretty rough. So, Wukong for Lopachinski, that's been one of his staple picks since he role swapped to the jungle. For, I guess, another Did You Know segment is that Lopachinski has played multiple roles with the Condors. His first position was actually as a support player back in OPSC, and he played support for Sadawa, who was the AD carry at the time. Then he shifted into the AD carry position, where he was then supported by myself, and now Slightly. And then he's now shifted to jungle as I moved behind the camera to give you this wonderful commentary. And there's your history lesson for the night. So, well, yeah, it makes sense I give you guys a history lesson. We are in school after all. Yeah. So, Ezreal, Kindred, being picked up now for the likes of the Bulldogs. And they shall be, I would say Ezreal is a safe pick. I once heard it described that Ezreal abuses items because his kit is mediocre as best. It's not like Zeri, who could basically run amok just because of her kit. Ezreal needs items, but because he's flexible with his build path, he can usually abuse the strongest items that currently exist in the game and do some pretty funky things and become quite tanky, actually, depending on which items, like the Frozen Gauntlet for a couple seasons. Kindred, a marksman jungler, Short range, hops around a lot, also has the Lamb's Respite, which is basically a giant circle she can throw down to keep people from dying and provide a small heal. But you have to be within that circle for it to matter. Otherwise, you die. Simple as that. So, Tristana can knock people out of Kindred's Lamb's Respite there, which is her ultimate. So, pretty good pick there. It is also a pick that Slayers is comfortable on as well. So I expect good things out of our Conestoga bot lane based on these picks so far. Now, looking at the second ban phase, we see the Cassidy, the Fiora, and the Kled being banned out. Sorry, Mordekaiser, Cassidy was already banned out. Both Cassidy and Mordekaiser have the exact same posture in their splash chart. And because the colors are muted, because of its splash chart, they look very similar. I mean, even Alawi has the same pose. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So, Mordekaiser, Fiora, Shen, Kled. Top lane got completely annihilated there with bans. That's a whole lot of top lane champions banned out. And so we see a Swain actually getting picked up here for the Condors. Swain is a bit of a flex pick. I'm interested to see where it goes. I have a feeling it's going to go towards Slightly in the bot lane. Because Slightly is one of those players that have a champion Ocean and isn't afraid to experiment in very important games. It just means he's confident. We like that. So, once more, Leona comes in for the likes, I believe, of Phil. Or has Phil filled out now? No, Phil is still there. So, Leona had some decent engages. Wasn't anything special. Gwen once more picked up here for the Bulldogs. And outside of Gwen, Bulldogs had a very blue composition for blue side. I like that. It pleases my inner synergy. And my eyebrows. Yes, Canadian Heritage moment. Every now and then I read chat. Because every now and then, there's fun things in chat. So, that means Poppy was left open. I didn't even realize that until the Poppy came through. And so, we get blessed by Poppy. By Eternity's Poppy here. Hopefully he pops off. Whether he does, nobody knows. So, teams, they're going to get into the game as quickly as they can, but it means I got a few moments here to talk about the game still. So, looking at both these compositions as objectively as I can, it's tough. It's a little bit tough. Blue team, Bulldogs, they have a whole lot of engage potential and lockdown CC. They have Leona, they have Lissandra. Yeah, they have those two, which provide more than enough because they have multiple forms of hard CC to use. Ezreal is a very safe pick, very poke-oriented. Not the greatest all-in champion, though. And same with Kindred. Can all-in, but really wants to skirmish and fight at the edge of her range and get her marks. If she doesn't get her marks, then her worth as a champion goes down the drain. When scales, but we saw that Eternity won that top lane matchup last time. Maybe a repeat. Where for the Condors, Poppy, Wukong, Tristana, I know are comfort picks. The Annie and Swain, I know they've been developing. I don't know how practiced they are on these champions yet. But still, so much engage potential. So, it's either going to play out that Lopachinski on Wukong gets a multi-man Cyclone, or Annie uses Summon Timbers to get a multi-person lockdown or an assassination. Or maybe Poppy just charges in and stuns someone against the wall. Condors have so many avenues to start a team fight, and older champions want to go in as well. The synergy for them is there. And so looking objectively at these two team comps, I actually like Conestoga's team comp better. And so, game 2, I'm going to favor Conestoga. And with that said, we're going to throw it to another break as we build that spectator delay. And when we have that spectator delay finished, we will be in game for game number 2 in this best of something series. It's either best of 3 or best of 5. either way, we get to see League of Legends, so I'm not complaining if it is a best of 5, even if it does mean more casting. So, we will see you on the other side of this break. Well, here we are from the start of Game 2 between the Brooklyn Bulldogs and the Condors Condors. It is NECC quarterfinals for Nationals. Yeah, we're not even talking about regular season here. We are talking about a Nationals tournament. This is something that both teams have worked the entire year towards. And Conestoga, we're coming off of a second place finish in our Champions Division, so that is feeling pretty good. Brooklyn, I'm not quite sure where they finished, but still, they made it to the group stage of Nationals. They won their Nationals group to then get into the bracket stage. And, well, they drew us, and so far, that's going in our favor. And looking at these two teams, there was a side swap, in case I didn't mention that earlier. I kind of did. I mentioned it indirectly. But now, it is Conestoga on the red side, Bulldogs on the blue side. The blue Brooklyn Bulldogs. Triple B's. Even though they're maroon, their school color is burgundy. I don't understand these things. Naming conventions. They always trip you up when you least expect them. So junglers, starting on opposing sides of the map right now, both on their blue buff. And that means they're going to be passing other ways. Now, Kindred, she is a champion known for her slippery tactics, where she will do a level 3 invade of the red buff. And with her starting on that top side jungle, that is something I can expect as well. Especially with both teams being full clear, there is time for Kindred to make that mistake. But we do see that the Condors, they double awarded that red buff to make sure it stayed safe. And I think, well, I appreciate that. From a jungler's perspective, I appreciate when my team wards my buffs to make sure it doesn't get stolen out from under me, or that I don't get nearly. Like, that's some real teamwork right there. That's good to see. You could say that's a feather in their cap. And so Kindred moves across into the bot side jungle. Looks his, but it's the two bot lanes fighting once more. And slightly taking the worst end of the trade by the looks of it, and sees him at just over 200 HP. And so that Swain is actually in the support position. That's where it ended up. And so I'll be interested to see how this game works. And hopefully he doesn't have Casey Burbrains. Now Dorius gets a good amount of damage done onto Snatch. And Snatch is chugging that corrupting pot to stay relatively healthy. Now health is spotted out on double wards there. So Slayers and Slightly should be able to, you know, stay safe. Okay. Quick look at the map. And so he skipped the camp, so therefore Lopachinski has jungle tempo. And fortunately enough, the Kindred mark spawns on the top scuttle first, which denies that mark to Kindred. So, that's a small coin flip of fate in favor of the Condors. And with Kindred, the first mark will always spawn on a scuttle crab. There's two of them at the very beginning. That spawned at the 3 minute 30-second mark. So one of those are guaranteed, and then it kind of shifts after that. So denying that first one, it always so Invisible Love gets the poke damage down, but slightly little. Slayer seems like goes a little low, feels caught, get chunked down potentially all in here, but no, they get the turnaround burst on the Slightly, and Swain is minced. You didn't see any tar go up in the air, but you certainly saw feathers. So once more, it's going to be the bot lane for Brooklyn Bulldogs coming out ahead, and Kindred does get that mark there that spawns on the Grom. So the next thing about the Grom, or the marks for Kindred, is that it progresses in tiers of difficulty based on how many marks Kindred has incurred. So you could argue that Scuttle is kind of level 0. They can always spawn. Raptors and Gromp are kind of level 2. Then the Krugs and Wolves, level 3. Buffs are level 4. Then objectives are kind of level 5. Like, if you are getting your marks spawning on just the Baron, it means you're pretty well fed when it comes to your marks. Now Doris is level 6, doesn't quite have the mana to get the stun on the Snatch, but there's 3 Condors there, and potentially could be looking for something there. So Claw gets over the wall, and Snatch manages to get to safety. And so with only 1 kill on the board in favor of the Bulldogs, the Bulldogs have about a 700 goal lead at the 6 minute mark, which is perfectly respectable. They're starting to inch towards victory, which is good. It's what you were saying. And I was going to say the CS is roughly comparable, but at this stage in the game, having a 10 CS gap in multiple lanes is worrisome. It means that early on, you're not finding anything. Or maybe not finding is the right word, but you're not able to compete with CS as you should be. And therefore, your seeding advantage is already to the opposing. Or your counter. The opposing counter. There we go. Or is that just like a double negative and therefore positive respect to yourself? Opposing is already one counterpart again. So your opposing counterpart is like you. Logic loops. They're fun to go down every now and then. That's also just English for you as well. Now, the grasp coming out of Swain, just not quite getting invisible love right now. That Ezreal managing to stay safe, stay slippery, and always has that arcane chip. And now Kindred taking an offer back means that Lopachinski's actually going to get the blue. And while I was talking about that, we just see Eternity pop off and get that kill. Now Phil goes in on Slayers. Slayers is kind of low, doesn't buffer the CC correctly with the rocket jump, and so he eats that damage when he shouldn't have. Good Eternity on the Poppy. Doesn't have mana to push this and needs to run before Kindred gets there. But Kindred is already there. Snatch with the claw back to tower range, stays safe. And still has the frozen tomb just in case. And Lissandra is always tough to gank. Now Eternity, it's going to be a dead Eternity here. He tries to pick up the Buckler shield if he can. He gets under towers. He pops the speed boost, and it just isn't quite enough as the flash from Kindred comes through as well. And a great cyclone out of Lopachinski catches Phil. And Invisible Love still full HP and maybe looking for something here as Slayers and Slightly sticking around and playing a dangerous game. Now Snatch, Dorius, they're fighting in the jungle. And it looks like Dorius got the better of that trade there. Still down about 13 CS, which is a little bit iffy. Now a trade of buffs there as Kindred steals away the red buff, but Lopachinski denies the mark on the grump. So Condors, 2 kills apiece now. They've narrowed the goal lead to about 600, 600 right now, which is a good sign. Kindred is on Rift Herald, which is not a good sign, because nobody's answering it. And giving a free objective to your opponents is not something you want to do. But it is what it is. And what it is a Rift Herald for the likes of the Bulldogs. So, 9 minutes in. 9 minutes in. No dragons have been taken, so a Soul Wink edition is fairly unlikely. It could happen, but seeing as how it takes roughly 24 minutes to get a soul. Yeah, because you need 4 dragons, each dragon spawns about 5 minutes apart. So yeah, the earliest soul dragon would be roughly 30 minutes right now. And Condors is still taking the dragon despite having priority on it. Ezreal with the barrage, the 2-shot barrage towards mid. He can try and find a kill there, but Phil, he's walking towards tower. And help is there, but Dorius goes in, but the first two comes out of Snatch, and now Slightly pop yellow, looks to keep the cycle, knocks up 2, and they still can't quite find a kill. And now that's going to be Gwen TPing in with the scissors, looking for something here, maybe looking for Lopachinski, can't quite find the range. And Eternity boots him out, finds the stun onto Leona, and that's a 1-team fight for the Condors. Cool. I forgot how hyped League of Legends can be, and so I'm wearing my voice quicker than I thought, because, you know, I just haven't casted so much. You need more teams here for me to cast. You know, stay consistent with my practice and skill. But who knows what the future will hold. So, Slayer Slightly, they stave off any push in mid lane right now, and reset themselves. Honestly, is still down 600 gold overall, just not able to find the wins that they need to actually swing the gold in their favor. But the important thing is that they are still on an even keel compared to what they would otherwise be. Now Dorius in a 1v3 situation doesn't have any summoners, but does have a low shield, which gives enough of a speed boost to get safety. And Eternity is able to pop his speed boost to get to safety. And now the Herald is spawned bot lane, and that will be used as a distraction to take the dragon. And so it will be the Bulldogs taking the Ocean Dragon first, and potentially the first tower here as well. So there it is. So Rift Herald does indeed get the first tower. And the Bulldogs get the first dragon. So that is a great play overall. And you can tell it was good play because the gold value there just jumped 2k in favor of the Bulldogs. Which doesn't feel like much because you think it's like, oh, it's a turret, it's a dragon. But early on, that is so much gold because first towers have an additional 400 gold attached to them for taking. So that right there is 400. Dragons have an inherent value as well. And overall, the Condors, they're not bleeding gold, but they're losing out on these objectives. And need to make a push for some tower plates of their own to try and get some gold back. And now Slayer is able to buffer that solar flare correctly with the rocket jump to safety. And Eternity, he's fighting Gwen on point here, and you can tell that Gwen wants nothing, because she backs right off the tower. Doris is there, Lopaczynski backing on the ward, and maybe looking for a dive on Gwen here as Gwen pulls out the ultimate. Eternity with a bit of a speed boost, still looking for the Zenith Blade, pops the, I think, Aegis. And then looking for something, can't quite find the sun when Eternity goes in, and without mana can't do much. Lopaczynski with the cyclones, able to safety snatch, but hitting Dorius, pops the frozen tomb, the summon Tibbers there as well. Dorius has the stun proc, but needs to get in the range and can't quite catch up to Snatch. This seems to be slippery with all that ice. And so the Bulldogs make a great move for the next tower. And this is another whole swath of gold that will be finding themselves with. Okay. So looking at game state now as tower plays are about to drop off, and it looks like Bulldogs got too many tower plays. They got 12 out of 15, which is a lot. Not something you generally want to be giving. Now Eternity has enough speed there to get away from Kindred. Otherwise Kindred, with that wolf fight, whatever mark, has enough to slow down. Now Lopaczynski looking for Kindred here, but they can't quite find something to snatch. Now he's in, and it will be free. Lopaczynski flashing out to stay safe. The claw is out to Snatch, and Snatch has no way out of this if they can find a way to re-engage this. But the Condors, half HP and reinforcements arrive from the Bulldogs in Eternity. He's up a creek without a paddle, so it's Slayers. They're trying to make something happen. Slayers rocket jump on to the other side towards the tower, but not quite far enough. He gets picked off. Eternity's picked off, and slightly, well, he's just more food for the machine. More meat for the grinder. If we want to get dark. Because the Bulldogs, they are grinding down the Condors right now. They're not opting into a lot of fights. They are taking objectives and playing that. They are playing the objective game, whereas Konosuga, they're trying to find kills to get gold, and it is not working out for them. And so the Condors now suddenly find themselves down 5,000 gold, and where I had originally thought Condors had the better comp, it seems like execution is entirely in favor of the Bulldogs right now. And mostly, I would say that bot lane is in return. So you have Invisible Love and Phil finding so much priority across the map. And Condors, they feel a little lost right now. If I'm being honest, they feel a little lost. They gotta open up their Google Maps, set the destination to win, and start in direction. Because they need to find something here soon. Huge spike breaks up the second right arrow. That is so much damage coming out of Gwen and Lissandra there. That the Lance spike comes down, Lopaczynski with a Rowan trying to do something. Eternity gets a kill on to Lissandra. Now Slayers is trying to hop out of there. But it's going to be close. That's the Herald and Yordle's rear. Keeping Slayer safe right now. And Invisible Love has the upgraded boots and wants Slayers. And Slayers is only on tier 1 boots. And a great dodge of the True Shot Barrage. But now it's just going to be a missing shot. Actually, the Arcane Shift picks it up. And so that will be the late ace for the Brooklyn Bulldogs. Cool. Okay, tier 1 tower mid drops now for the Condors. And that means the map is open for Brooklyn, and the air or cloud dragon is spawning, which means that we will get a different dragon soul or map this time around. So we'll find out as soon as someone takes the second dragon. But a 17-minute plus second dragon is very, very delayed. Normally, you usually see the third dragon around the 18-minute mark if you're on tempo for them. The Condors, they need to find something, but it feels like the Bulldogs, they're just standing close together. They're playing as a team. They're not giving anything away. And it feels like Condors, they need that wombo combo to make something work. And they are finding that right now. And 3 get caught by the solo player. Phil goes in with the center blade. Catches up multiple ones. Hopes to kill the wall with Cyclone. Doesn't find much there. Snatch comes in with a huge stun. And you can see the CC is winning games. Doris is running. Lopaczynski's running. He's trying to pull some monkey business, but it doesn't matter as the Lamb and Wolf will feast on the monkey right now. And so, the Brooklyn Bulldogs win that fight in a resounding fashion. It was clear, it was concise. They got the engage, they got the fight, they get the dragon. And at this point, I feel the game is almost completely away from the Condors. We're looking at a 10k goal difference before Baron is even up. And remember what I said, if you're between that 5 to 1,000 gold per minute lead mark, you've generally won the game. You just need to finish it. And right now, we're there. We're in that range for the Bulldogs. And we can see it's coming off the likes of Hulk on the Kindred, on Invisible Love with this Ezreal. And even the half lane for ages has stepped up. The Gwen looking better. Eternity's looked good on the Poppy, but as a team, the Poppy only does so. And really, the Divine Thunder on the Poppy isn't getting as much value as it otherwise should because it works best against tanks. It still helps, don't get me wrong. It's still a good item. It's still one of the best items to build on a Poppy. It's just not the best to the opposing team, and that's just a situational thing, which is unfortunate. And this is a good time actually to talk about items. Ezreal, because right now Ezreal has not built a mythic item yet, or he's building towards one. He has the Mirlana, the Essence Reaver, and a Serrated Dirk. This is the lethality and pure damage that he's building. And he doesn't need a mythic. He doesn't need that one item to give him an exponential power spike like almost everyone else needs. And you can tell that the Condors, they're just in a world of hurt. Almost every single Condor is a level down towards the counterpart. And we see the Kindred level 12 versus level 8. That's pretty big, and that's a good knockback. And maybe Eternity can get away from this one with some fancy feet, but he flashes to the wall, gets caught by the Zen's Blade regardless. And now there's multiple there. That Blackstone needs to be his escape, and Gwen, half lane for ages, has lain Eternity down to rest there. Now the TP from Snatch gets this mid-fight. TP out of Dorius as well. And it's a team fight, all right. And it's going to be Lopaczynski already shocked by Lysandra. Gwen chasing down Dorius. Slightly's down there. Snatch on Slayers. Slayers uses the ult to try and get some space in the lead. But it doesn't matter. Condors trade 5 for 1 there. And that was off a turn again picked between a tier 2 and a tier 1 tower, which is never a Venus. That's way too far. And because of that, the Bulldogs, they move straight to the Baron. And it's there. Poppy doesn't have her ult to knock them away to maybe reset it. Definitely doesn't have a smite. Lopaczynski just spawned. So the Baron goes securely in favor of the Brooklyn Bulldogs. And maybe after getting beat last match, instead of seeing red, the Bulldogs, they're seeing maroon. Either way, they have stepped up to the plate too. They are taking a swing at Condors, and they are knocking them out of the sky. 20 kills to 5. And this is almost what I want to have some sort of comedy sketch from Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck come in and put up signs for Bulldog season instead of Condors. I think maybe that's the only way the Condors win this one, with some Looney Tunes sort of action right now, because conventional team fighting has not worked for them. They're too far behind, and right now they're trying to death push. They may find Phil here. They do find Phil, but that Leona is still protecting. Drops the stolen flare. Gwen just charges in, and you can tell that the Condors, they're already losing, as this Gwen is massive. Lobachinsky with the double cycle does what he can, but this fight has already gone in favor of the Bulldogs. These fights are so quick, they're so bloody, so vicious, that Gwen, with the 1,000 needle cuts, the ultimate just shreds the entirety of the Condors when they're that grouped up. Elite coming out of Snatch is massive, 200 damage from Hope there on the Kindred. It's great. Look at the kill participation. 18, 17, 19, 18, 19. The Bulldogs are fighting together as a pack and are winning the game. And so in 23 minutes, they are looking to make a push to end it, but the Condors have spawn. They're trying to have the base defense. They get the defense going. They shut the door for a moment, but Snatch, Invisible Love, they're still alive. They're still backpedaling. They're still doing damage. And Invisible Love even tries to get it back on track for them with another couple kills. But the Condors, they stand tall for a moment there. But now they have an open nexus, which means that the Bulldogs, they just need to walk in the base to get it. And Lobachinsky gets the small win with the blue buff secure. They potentially get the third dragon here. But Invisible Love is still 909, has built the Dust Blade there, which is a mythic item. And when you get a kill, you then go and target the select item for you to carry. And oh no! Snatch secures the dragon, snatches any hope out of the Condors' talons there, and it's just looking rough now as there's kills, bodies dropping the floor on both sides. Lobachinsky trying to get over the wall with a decoy. Does get over the wall, but Hulk is there and gets the execute, actually with Invisible Love. Now Slayer's trying to get away. You can just see that crit for 403. Chase him down. He flashes into the wall, but Hulk will hop this one. And Invisible Love tries to get it with the Arcane Champs and the Mystic Shot. Can't quite find it. Just not quite having the range there. And now it's going to be Hulk. Invisible Love looking to end the game. Attorney tries to make play. Misses the knockback hammer. Tries to get in there and CC them, but alas, it just wasn't enough. So at 24 minutes and 50 seconds, the Brooklyn Bulldogs win. They win game 2. That means the series, once I can figure out how to get myself off this black screen, well, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Why is the game mode full? Okay. There we go. Hi there. Thanks for joining me again. Not like you ever left. But yeah, Brooklyn Bulldogs. That is the way to answer a loss in game 1. You have a foundationally strong game 2, and you put the screws to your opponent. You beat them on every front, while the Condors were largely on comfort picks. So overall, I have to say that the Bulldogs, they had some great adaptations. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and it was spectacular to watch them execute their plan. But for the Condors, it's like, oh, that was a rough one. And so as we move into game 3, there's going to be some adaptations. And I think these two teams want to get this going as quickly as they can, but I need some water. I need a break for some refreshments. I encourage you to do the same. You know, stretch, stand up, or do that in the opposite fashion. Stand up and then stretch. Get some water, get some snacks, and take a breather, because I will be having a breather as I go to a quick break. So we'll see you on the other side for game 3. Don't miss out.
day to dark does turn. One simple truth she dare not speak. Her light can only blind and burn. No mercy for the guilty. Bring down their lying sun. Blood so silver black by night, upon their faces pale white. Cruel moon, bring the end. The dawn will never rise again.
Welcome back, and here we are for Game 3 and the deciding match here for this round of NECC quarterfinals for Nationals. Now, Condors, they're coming off of a rough loss in Game 2 where it looks like they were just outclassed in nearly every aspect. Even Lopachinski, our star jungler, couldn't find the success that he had in Game 1, and that really hindered their ability because Condors won off of getting picks, Now they couldn't get picks, and we saw what happened. But they're sticking with the script with the Alawi and Nocturne bans. Bulldogs opting for the Aurelion Soul, and I would imagine similar bans as Game 2 because it worked for them. Why change it up? And as I say that, there's the Kha'Zix ban, Kindred being taken away from the Condors. I like that adaptation. Kindred was definitely a nuisance. And I feel like there's going to be a higher priority on Lissandra now that we know that both teams can play it, and both teams have won with it. That is the key thing. Both teams have won with Lissandra as the mid lane champion. So, I'm expecting to see some sort of priority shifted over there. Now, Bulldogs, they ban out the Victor for third, and there's Condors locking in Lissandra for the first pick. The prio, as it should be. So, Orianna now being picked up for the Bulldogs, or at least hovered right now. And it makes sense that the Bulldogs will opt for a mage of some sort, a control mage, especially before it gets maybe countered or pinched later on with the ban selection. Always kind of want to stay safe in that regard and make sure your players get the champions that they want. So, both teams taking their time to really think about what they want to see happen, what kind of draft they want to select. Orianna doesn't need a ball delivery mechanism, but having one helps. Leona can be one of those. She can go in with the Zenith Blade and get a fair amount of distance for an engaged down. And a wombo combo with a Solar Flare and the Shockwave, I would say it's pretty potent. A lot of damage, a lot of CC all at once, and you can't really escape it because you're locked down before the second part even happens. So I would like to see a more conventional support for the Condors, not a Swain. Slightly, I would say it looked fine on it. Didn't look stellar. It just didn't do much in lane. But speaking of supports, the Milio, or is it Milio? Either way, the newest champion to League of Legends, Milio, or Milo. I would have to read the name to get the better pronunciation. It's tough. It's a hard life here. Yeah, Milio. There's two eyes in there. So, newest champion in League of Legends does things for AD carries that are quite annoying. Like gives them extra movement speed, some healing, some heal, and more importantly, some extra range for their auto attacks. If you can hit an enemy from farther away, you generally win the fight because they can't trade back. That's what it comes down to. And so, Invisible Love going back to that Ezreal, which she had success on in Game 2. And I would imagine that most of the composition stays the same for the Bulldogs. Except it can't, because Gwen's also banned out now. Kled banned out, so top lane pinch once again being pinched. I don't think Poppy was a big enough threat for the Bulldogs to focus it. Could be. But the Shen. I would agree with that. And the Condors banning out the J4 in the second phase there instead. And that means that hope goes for the Lee Sin. Whew. Now, Lee Sin is one of those picks that junglers get very egotistical about, because it has some very famous moves on this champion, like the insect pick, where you basically use your Sonic Wave, dash to the enemy, then use your second dash, which is to allies or wards, to then dash behind the enemy. Then you use your ultimate, the Dragon's Rage, to then kick the enemy back into him. It's a very complicated version of Skarner's ultimate where you kidnap someone. That's, in essence, what you do. So it's just one of those things that you need hands for. And so, Lucian comes out for Slayers. And Lucian, I would say, has been on the edge of Slayer's champion pool for a while now. Generally, he's stuck with the likes of Jinx, Tristana as his main oriented carries. And now we see the Gangplank come out for Eternity. Now, Gangplank, for another heritage moment here with Sarah Sims, is that Gangplank was one of Eternity's OG loves. One of his OG picks. It was actually the champion that he tried out for the team with. He used Gangplank. And so whenever I think of him as a GP player. Even though he plays tanks phenomenally well, he will always default back to this GP when he can. And generally, when I've seen it, it looks good. But he's into a Malphite. And, well, Malphite's just a rock-solid champion. He's quite literally a mountain. He's a rock. And so, rocks like armor. They don't really like magic. Magic kind of whittles them down. Where armor, it is what it is. So, draft is done. Whew. This one's tough because Bulldogs have a lot of momentum. They have a relatively high skill cap for composition, I would say. You have the Orianna. Ball placement is absolutely critical. Ezreal needs to position correctly. Lee Sin, if he gets caught out and falls off, could be pretty weak there. But if Lee Sin gets ahead early, if he can find those flanks, those kicks, that can absolutely swing the momentum of a game. We're on the Condors. They have Wukong, which Lopachinski's played a lot of. He knows inside and out, but last game didn't go very well for him. Maybe he's trying to run it back, saying, hey, I can do this better. Especially not having to worry about Kindred, who naturally warps the game because you need to play around her marks to deny that resource. And GP, a late game threat who can one-shot nearly anyone with the amount of crit damage she can eventually put out. But we're talking about a full 6-item GP here, and if he gets that far, it's a very spicy game indeed. But it's Nationals. I'm going to be biased here. I want to stick with the boys through and through. And so, Conestoga Condors, I'm predicting they're going to win Game 3. They're going to advance to the semifinals and beat who's already waiting there. I mean, how hard can they be? They should be pretty easy. So, we are going to throw it to a break in the meantime while we get set up for Game 3. So, make sure you grab your last round of snacks, your drinks, your refreshments, because we are going to get into the action here pretty soon. So, see you on the other side. Make sure to tune in. welcome back to the action as we get into Game 3 and the deciding match here between the Conestoga Condors and the Brooklyn Bulldogs. Yeah.
30 seconds until
Bulldog.
minions spawn.
So, we see I'd say a modified 5-point start with Lopachinski and
A summoner
Turnbeast in
has
there.
disconnected.
Snatch has DC'd, so there's the pause. There's the chaos. And now we get to see what happens. Because I'm in game, I can actually see the chat. And so let's actually see what chat has to say about this. He is currently jumping back in. Apparently his computer is a toaster, and therefore it's a little bit sketchy. That is understandable. Many times have we dealt with this slow loading screen of people's on toasters or potatoes. But
A summoner
with
has
our
reconnected.
glorious esports hub here at Conestoga Condors, we generally don't have to worry about that. Like, I don't know if it's actually true or not, but right now, and you guys can actually see the FPS counter on the screen. You know, it says 237 for FPS right now, but the ping is 0 milliseconds. So I don't actually know if our connection is that quick, because we're not sitting on top of the server in Michigan, because we're a Canadian school. And at home, I average around anywhere from 20 to 40. But ping notes aside, you know, there's a small invade there, get some pressure down, get an extra vision board down. Helps out where they can, and you know, there's the classic bug because of whatchamacallit. Oh, and I've moved the camera. Oh. Camera operators and observers to be arriving soon, hopefully.
Minions have spawned.
Really some time for the fall. Okay, so we survived the first minute of the game. We've cleared that benchmark. Enemy teams have met each other. They've seen each other. We have crossed the river, which all accumulates to there being an official game of record. So now if something drastic were to happen, the worst that could happen is that we finish the series in a tie. Obviously. Which I don't think would actually be allowed. We would then have to get the NECC admins involved to figure out what we do next, which would most likely just plan another match. Now Phil goes in, gets his done, walks out, and it's a roughly even trade. Slayers is slightly, they want to play this lane aggressive. They need to play this lane aggressive. Lucian doesn't have as much scaling as Invisible does, and with Milio there, they really want to hit that level early and take this fight, but unfortunately, they're actually behind on the clear. And so level 2 will probably be going in favor of Phil and Invisible Love there. As we keep hopping back and forth between top and bottom as we potentially get another pause. Nope, we're good. Just a little bit of buffering there. And so we are going to, you know, keep the action rolling as best we can. You know, we're not going to do anything too spicy right now. But we are going to see what kind of chaos happens. So far, the 2v2 in the bot lane hasn't happened. The Zenith Blade misses. And overall, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Condors survived in the early phase. And now we can start talking about other areas of the map, potentially. So, mid lane seems to be on par. Jungles, they're on their 3rd, 4th camps as well. Lee Sin not the quickest at doing the multi-creature camps like Krugs, Wolves, Raptors. Very much better at doing these single creature camps like the buffs, like Gromp. Even Raptors to a degree because the small little Raptorlings are fairly squishy. And now it's just a matter of seeing what we can do, how we can do it, without giving anything over. And so far, Condors do have a 200 gold advantage, give or take. And I want to say a lot of that comes from CS. We do see GP, we see Eternity getting the gold, getting that CS advantage, and also a little bit of a jungle camp lead as well. So slightly here gets caught by Phil on this Leona, and it's going to be an all-in there, but slightly gets the tower. Hope is there to stop any potential turnaround. Gets a little bit of chip damage with the Sonic Wave and just walks it out. But that is a 2-camp lead for Lopachinski. He gets the early back and is able to hit the Rift faster. And Eternity, he's actually lower health, but still damaging the Malphite for all he's worth. And you can tell that Malphite is just trying to survive with as much Seismic Shard poke as he can. Cool. Now you see, this is where color commentary comes in. Because last night, or the night before, I forget, I was playing some ARAM matches with Eternities and friends, and I got Malphite. I spent the entire ARAM match just making rock puns. I rocked it. Now Phil running for tower. Invisible Love gets tower as well, and that's some key summoners down for the Bulldog bot lane, and the pressure from the Condors is mounting, and this is what we needed to see there. Now Snatch, Dorius, it's going to be a 1v1 until Hulk steps in, and it's going to be close. Snatch with the shield stays alive as Hulk gets the first blood kill, and Dorius was close. He was close. So close. But the shield from Hulk managed to keep Snatch alive. So,
I know what makes them tick.
we see Lee Sin yet to back. He's going to have a decent amount of gold as well. As I flick over, he has 1,600 right now to spend. That's what Lopachinski has total. So, definitely a much better buy for Hulk, and this Lee Sin could potentially take over the game now. But we have things like the scaling Gangplank, who has the call, who's looking to make it to the late game and cash in big. And when he has those money items, he does a lot. Lopachinski goes in with the decoy. Invisible Love uses the arcane shift out, flashes out. Now he will make it out, but now Phil is going to be chunked. There's the cannon barrage to come down. The Frozen Tomb gets one, gets two, and the Condors pull off an early game dive successfully. It was a team effort from coast to coast, top to bottom. The Condors helped one another. Now, Condors resetting. This does give map priority over for Hulk and Snatch. He gets some deep vision down, set up some wards, maybe look for a cheeky engage, potentially a dragon even, because Condors did reset. But with the bot lane, Condors not resetting as well. They're a little bit off tempo, but they prevented Hulk from doing the dragon because they couldn't collapse. So all in all, not too bad, not too shabby. Conestoga finds themselves with a 200 gold lead still. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Gold by gold. It works. I think I had worked it out that if you weighed a gold coin the same as a toonie, yeah, math. I'm not doing mental math on stream. But either way, whole bunch of gold is up for the grabs, and the gold is actually swung in favor of, whatchamacallit, of the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs have been a really hard name for me today because I constantly want to say, and the British Bulldogs, but it's not the British Bulldogs, it's the Brooklyn Bulldogs. So far I've been pretty good, but now that I've actually said it, maybe I slip up some more, which I hopefully is not the case. I've had too many mispronunciations tonight already. It's egregious. But Conestoga, they have taken firm control of this bot lane river here. They're looking for a catch on the Phil. They do get it. They take the blast cone away, and Phil gets caught out. That kill goes over to Slayers. Finally, you could say he slayed an opponent. Now that's a huge flash out of Eternity, dodging that unstoppable something. Unstoppable rock, unstoppable force, whatever it was, the ultimate out of Malphite. That was just an absolute fantastic flash. Unfortunately, he still dies to Hulk, who had the follow-up get, had the Dragon's Rage pick available to make sure he couldn't get out. But it was still great. And that means the kills were 1 for 1, but Conestoga also got the dragon there. Conestoga is now invading. It's going to be a trade for the buffs, ultimately, which is okay. It keeps the map even. Both teams will have timers on one another. The True Shot Barrage tries to take it, but that's just a wasted ultimate at this point, which means that Conestoga now has kill pressure because they still have a fighting ultimate in the spotlight. These small decisions, small advantages really do rack up. And because they know that Lopachinski was bot side, we do see that Hulk on the Lee Sin has started the Rift Herald, and you can tell that Dorius wants to move there, but Snatch is moving in step, and so Eternity will be the first one there, actually. He tries to get the damage down, doesn't quite find it, 2-man stun, and it's going to be a kill on the Hulk, but that shockwave catches 2, and so the Bulldogs, they get the Rift Herald, they get a double kill there, and ultimately come out ahead. So now it's the Bulldogs with about a 500 gold lead, definitely finding some room to work with now. And you can tell because so much gold has ended up with the Lee Sin, that Lee Sin has a full item. He's roughly 300 ahead of Lopachinski, but Lopachinski doesn't have his mythic done yet. So there's still a discrepancy there as well, which is a little worrisome. So, Conestoga. There's been a lot that has swapped over that I haven't quite caught, where the CS advantages have now gone firmly in favor of the Bulldogs. We have leads in ADC, mid, and top. The only thing going roughly in favor of Conestoga is the jungle in terms of CS. That's a 2-camp difference at that point, which isn't much. So really, it's small gold leads across the board for the Bulldogs, which has accumulated into the 600 gold lead that we're seeing. It's still relatively close overall, and now Snatch gets caught, tries to flash us out, and it's going to be Lopachinski flashing in to make sure that kill is secured. And now Slightly Slayers, they're being targeted by 3. Hulk goes in, finds the kill on Emilio, and now Slayers trying to get some distance, trying to work the ultimate, but really Phil is just too tanky and fills up the area that Slayer's wanting to run out to. So the Bulldogs, they respond beautifully with 2 kills of their own, and now Hulk and Lopachinski trying to fight 1v1. Hulk with a great kick there to buy space for the Sonic Wave execution to come through. And Lopachinski is once again struggling, I would say. He's found some success, but you can tell that he's struggling in the jungle right now, especially against a jungler who I would say has been a lifelong jungler, I would say. I don't actually know Hulk's history, but because he's pulling out the Lee Sin, he's pulled out the Kindred. These are mechanically intensive champions for jungling with, and he's looked comfortable on both. Now Melio gets caught here, uses last breath. The Cannon Barrage comes down. They're going to try and look for something, but I don't think they can. And so they just walk out there. Dorius gets back to his tower. Lopachinski is here. Maybe they look to force something as Hulk leaves. Maybe, maybe not. Next Dragon is spawning in under 50 seconds now. And they want this. You can tell they want this. Conestoga may be overplaying their hands right now. And they get the recalls out of the Invisible, Love, and Phil. So they get a little bit of bot lane priority right now. But there's still going to be plenty of time for the likes of the Bulldogs bot lane to get back on the map. To get back to Dragon before it actually spawns. And now Slayers and Slightly, they're a little bit indecisive what to do. But they will get Dragon priority, or finish getting priority. And this will be where the next team fight happens. Conestoga has already got the first one. The next Dragon is going to be Chemtech. And Chemtech provides some additional resistance bonuses based on how low you are. I think they might have included some damage amplification in there, but not much. And Eternity, he's getting roughed up here by this rock. You could say he's on the rocky road right now. But either way, he will assist as best he can. Now Snatch getting caught out here by the Frozen Tube and Cyclone. They do get him out. Hulk is there. Hulk knocks up. Sonic Wave comes through, and Lobachinski gets locked down by the Soul Flare as well. He needs to get over the wall, but he can't as the Dragon Rage kick comes through. And the Monkey is down for a 1-for-1 trade. Working out in favor, I would say, of the Bulldogs, as their jungler is still alive to secure this dragon. Cool. And the jungle lead that Lobachinski had in CS, that meager lead that he could rely on, is gone. It's now a 4-camp lead for the likes of Hulk on this Lee Sin. And in this case, it really is the blind leading the blind. There isn't many wards in the map, so it works, okay? So, Malphite just cleared out a pink board there, going to top. Eternity, yeah, he's doing okay for himself. He probably would have liked at least one of those deaths back, because I'm not quite sure how he died the second time. The one time was off the gank. Don't recall the second time. But, regardless, that's okay. That's what VODs are for. We can go back and watch it again. We can experience this exciting action for a whole second time, or third, or fourth, or fifth, or how many times you want to watch it. Have a watch party on the weekend when you don't have work or school or other obligations. And speaking of obligations, well, Slayers was obligated to die there. It was a 1v3. There was nothing else he could do. He was going to die. And he did. Rest in peace, Slayers. May the gray screen be short for you. And so now it's going to be Dorius TPing VOD to try and keep that tier 2 tower healthy. But it does mean he sacrifices health on that mid-tier 1. But luckily, his wave state was pretty decent. So Conestoga working on the second Rift Herald game as Hulk cuts the wave there. And Malphite goes on Eternity with an unstoppable, of course, but Eternity flashes that again. And now Lobachinski, they need to finish off the Rift. Please finish off the Rift Herald. Okay, they get the kill. The Rift Herald still hasn't reset yet. It's losing patience. They need to finish it off. Please. Okay, Condors. Condors, what are you doing, guys? Okay, it doesn't matter. They got the kill on Hulk. Phil is low, probably going to survive as well. Invisible Love getting damage down across the back. Lobachinski there, trying to figure out a way to go, but he's just getting shot down by these mystic shots. Dorius in the bush getting a little bit of damage done. Lobachinski looking for a way back in, goes in on the Malphite, finds a little bit of damage. The CC's there on Invisible Love, and now they're chasing down Malphite, but the Rocks got the moves. Whew. So, Snatch back alive, and I think that Conestoga still can't afford to go for this Rift Herald, as Snatch could look to interfere once more. Slayers getting some chip, that's more than chip damage at this point. Trying to get some damage back across there, doing what they can. Slightly using the campfire to heal him back up. And it's a little bit of healing, but every bit of healing counts. And so, Conestoga, they find some kills, they get some big shutdowns, but they don't get the objective at the end of the day. And that means that the Bulldogs can get it right now as the Conestoga Condors were resetting. Eternity's TP just came off the cooldown, so potentially an odd man situation here. And they're looking to go for Phil. Phil is just buying time for Hulk to work on this Rift Herald. And the Rift Herald stays alive for now, but Hulk is going to be looking for this eye, for this execution, for the smite fight. There it is, and there's the execution coming from Hulk. Now if they can keep him from getting it, then maybe, okay. Now they need to protect the eye. If nobody picks the eye, then it's just a little bit of gold that goes over to Hulk. But in the meantime, it's Invisible Love getting that tier 1 mid tower down, opening the map a bit up there. So Conestoga, they're fighting back. They're finding ways into this game. They're not getting the objectives they need or should. And this Malphite, he's looking pretty scary. He's got the Frozen Gauntlet. He's got the Ninja Tabbies. And with that other blue armor item, which I know the name of entirely and I'm not currently forgetting, he's going to get himself a Frozen Heart as well. Or maybe it's the support item. The Herald's something or other. Knight's Herald or, I don't know. Glacial Shroud, that's what it is. You see, I told you I knew it. You doubted me there for a second. Okay. So, Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. That will be the next objective for both these teams to focus on. They both have one dragon apiece, and honestly, if you get mounted dragons for a melt fight, he will love you till the ends of the earth, for which he is a part of. He will love you. Same with Fiona. They want the extra defensive stats that it gives. I think it's about 4% for a mounted dragon that you get for both armor and magic resist, which feels incredible and does make a difference. But right now, Condors fixing their lane state. Lopachinski caught in the middle of 3 right now, and Hulk there looking dangerous, but Soul Flare slows 3. Dorius gets caught by the Sonic Wave, and that's a huge shock wave, and that's going to be the Bulldogs winning this fight cleanly as Lopachinski gets cut down. Eternity, he's trying to find something back, but it just doesn't matter as he goes down. But Slayers does get a kill on the Hulk there, so both junglers are technically dead, but it is 180 carry against 4 Bulldogs. And that's not a fight I would opt into. And Slayers wisely steps back, but that will mean the second dragon going over to the Bulldogs. Or the third dragon going over to the Bulldogs, but it's their second dragon overall. And one thing that I've noticed is happening multiple times now in back-to-back games is that the Condors, they'll step up maybe too far. And when they step back to safety, back into their territory, usually through the jungle, Phil is right there with an engage, right there with the Solar Flare ultimate, catching 3 of them. It happened last time right before Dragon as well. It happened just now. And so Conestoga, I think they need to either commit better or be on the same page and not let Phil have these engages when they're retreating. So Conestoga, they're in a rough place right now, but doing much better than game 2 at least. And so Hulk now potentially being targeted down in a 1v3 situation, but he gets over the wall. Lopachinski was thinking about chasing that one down, but didn't have the flash follow through yet. But they did get the flash of a Hulk, which is important. That means less playmaking potential. And now we see 4 Condors. They eye up Orianna. The bot, nope, bot as in robot. The robot lady. Mechanically engineered woman. Nope, nope, not going there. Okay, Lopachinski gets hit by the Sonic Wave and decides to back out. Phil, Solar Flare is ready, and Condors are grouped nicely forward, but just out of range. Now Dorius getting a little bit of chip damage onto Snatch. Now Phil over-aggressive 1v3 and still manages to find some space to live with. But Slayers is there, has room to work with. He goes in, can't quite find the execution damage. Unstoppable force finds Slayers though. And now this could be the turnaround that the Bulldogs need, and it is. As Snatch is killing Dorius under tower, basically. That's a huge shield, and they're trying to collapse back, but it doesn't matter. The Condors are split. They're spread out. They don't have the flying V formation to win it. And now they're just being run down. Whew. Condors. They got the rough end of that one because they weren't grouped, they weren't coordinated. They had fights on multiple fronts, and they couldn't properly commit to one or the other. And now Eternity, the sole Condor left alive this time around. All he can do is look on in awe as the Baron drops, as he tries to clear the waves. So that way, that once that Baron drops like it just has, they can't immediately push for a tower. He's trying to wave manage, and he does a little bit. Don't do it, Phil. Ah, Phil. That's disrespectful. Let the man back. Honestly. And now it's going to be Malphite trying to get some push down. Yeah, at least crashes the wave. And you can see the CS discrepancy in multiple lanes starting to widen again. This time in favor of Eternity, and then Hulk, and then massively in favor of Snatch. That's over 60 CS difference, which is fairly significant. That's equivalent to about 3 or 4 kills, if I'm not mistaken. And then bot lane is fairly close. 10 CS difference at this point is okay. You still want to be on par, if not ahead, but being within 10 is good enough. But Condors, it's hard for them to decide who to go on because your front line right now consists of Lopachinski, who is a bruiser. He's not a tank. He definitely can't out-tank a Leona and a Lee Sin. And Lee Sin is a bruiser, but the key difference is that Lee Sin has a Gore Drinker, which is sustain, it heals him, and then has the Death Stance, which delays damage, basically. It reduces it by 2/3 or whatever, which is then translated into bleed damage. But semantics aside, the Conestoga Condors, they tried to find a pick on the fill, but they couldn't quite get the kill. And the Unstoppable Force goes wide. We call those a zoning ultimate right there. But the Condors, they're on the wrong half of the map. They're retreating. They're just dropping as well. The Condors, they're basically being the clay pigeons you go out to shoot, because they are dropping left, right, and center. The Bulldogs, they are definitely armed to the teeth right now. And Eternity, he finds one kill finally on the fill, the one they originally tried to kill. But it's a little too late. Yeah, it's a little too much, a little too late, or whatever the saying is. And so, the Brooklyn Bulldogs, they aggress into the base of the Conestoga Condors. They have that open mid inhibitor now. The game is theirs to lose. I have said it. It is their game to lose. Hopefully, it's a caster curse. But with how this team is playing right now, the Bulldogs have the edge. Hulp is looking fantastic on this Lee Sin, with no signs of falling off yet because he's an item ahead. He managed to get his lead and hold on to it as well. He's 13, 4, and 7. He is 20 out of 24 kill participation. That's absolutely massive. That's like 5 out of 6. That's a lot in terms of percentages. Yeah. Or wait, it would be 5 out of... Nope, never mind. I'm not trying to do math anymore. It's about 75%, I think. No, it's more than that. Nope. Why did... Nope. We're moving on. Moving on. Okay, so Conestoga, the way they get back into this game is painful. It will be hard fought. It will be time consuming. It will be stressful, and it will be precarious. They will need to play virtually perfect to win this game. They are behind in every role, on every carry. They don't have someone that they can rally behind yet, and that is a scary proposition. They're down multiple levels too, nearly 2 levels in every role, which is nearly unheard of. Bill and Slightly are the only ones on par at level 11, but those are the supports. Their levels ultimately don't matter after level 6. As long as they have access to the kit, they're complete champions. But everyone else, 2 levels up. That's a massive amount. And there's Lopachinski with Engage. They get the kill into Invisible Love. Hulk now is forced to retreat, and he goes down to Lopachinski. And now it's Phil versus the Monkey in the jungle on one end. The Rock runs away, and now Snatch is finding time to hit the inhibitor tower in the top lane. So Conestoga, they stave off defeat, but they're not quite out of this yet, as Slayers, he can't quite find the space needed to get out of that, and he just gets run down by a rock. It is true, the Pioneers did used to ride the rocks, and you can see why, because this rock knows how to move. He can catch a slippery 80 carry, he can chase you down, and he can potentially go for more right now, as even Dorius is in a bit of a rough spot. And now it's going to be just try and kill some minions, try and wave man as best you can. Lopachinski wants to give this kill over to someone important like Eternity, but it's best just to take it. And so Conestoga, an absolute massive engage. They lost a little bit on the tail end with Path Lane for ages getting a return kill and buying so much time with that questionable base chase, we'll say. But still, that's a good look. But that's what I mean by it needs to be painful. It needs to be impeccable for the Condors if they want to get this. And Lee Sin is virtually full build right now. He needs the extra vision wards, but he has a GA. It's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. And so Lopachinski goes on the Hulk. Hulk dashes back. Still buying up space, taking up space in this river, making sure the Condors can't really do much. Now Lopachinski goes in, gets a 3-man Cyclone there. Invisible Love is the one he's being targeted down. Lopachinski, he's eating this damage. And and they can't quite find it out. Hall stays alive. They finally get his GA, but the fight's basically already over as the Malphite used Insupple Force to kill Slayers. And I can tell you that Slayers right now was not an immovable object. You can stop that ultimate. And so, Condors, they lose this Baron fight, but they do get the GA off of Hulk. But they get no kills. They give over the Baron. That's at least another roughly 3,000 gold swing in favor, not even a swing, just an advancement of the Bulldogs lead. They're up 8,500 gold right now. And while this game is still losable for them, it will be extremely hard to lose it. They have both, or 2 out of 3 outer towers still up, like the mid tier 2 and the bot tier 2. Both those are still up. There's just an enormous advantage. Bulldogs have 6 towers ahead or on top of the Condors 1. The Dragons are in favor for the Bulldogs, in a favor of 3-1. So this next dragon that spawns in 50 seconds will be the Soul Dragon. And this is a whole lot of stats, and Eternity just gets clapped right there. He gets caught out at the wrong spot, the wrong time. And now slightly, he's running for the kills, chasing, or dragging his little campfire behind him. But this could be the game-ending push that we're going to witness here. Hulk, he's looking for an engage. You know he wants it. Even without the GA, he can take it. He still has his kick available, or his ultimate. And Snatch just got the shockwave off of cooldown. And so you can see a massive wombo combo still happening here. Solar Flare is up. And the Condors, if anyone dies now, anyone, I think this game is over. But the Bulldogs, they play it smart, they play it safe, they play it correctly. They rotate around to kill the entire base from the Condors, to make sure that the Condors can't leave their base, because the minions, double wave, or each wave having 2 super minions, is crippling. It gives you a whole lot of gold if you can farm them quickly and successfully, but it means you can never leave your base because they will always be pushing you. And that means Soul Dragon almost can't be contested. Conestoga is going to try it. Goes in, gets a 3-man. Cannon Barrage is on top. It's a good wombo combo there. They lock down 3. They get 2. And it's going to be Malphite dropping for the 3rd one. And now the Dragon is still up. Invisible Love goes to the wall. They're trying to get this one beforehand. Now it's going to come down to a smite fight. And, well, Lobiczynski couldn't get there in time. So the Soul does go over to Brooklyn. And Brooklyn managed to get their last 2 members out. And so it's a little bit of gold in favor of Conestoga, but the Mountain Soul goes over to the Brooklyn Bulldogs. And you can see that Soul's unique trait is the shield. When you're not in combat for X amount of time, you get a shield for, I think, X amount of your health. And that's a permanent shield that will always regenerate. You can destroy it, but if you reset it, it comes back. You get out of combat, it comes back. So it provides a lot more durability for the side of Brooklyn. And it makes it just that much harder for Conestoga. But the thing is, Conestoga, they're finding windows to fight back, to get some gold into their pocket. They're now down 6.5 instead of 8.5. So they're finding little bits of gold that they can use to carry themselves. Eternity is now level 17. He is a 4.5 item GP. He will hurt. He could potentially one-shot people. Whether or not he has the chance to is another question. But just look at that crit. 1473. Absolutely massive. Doris doesn't find the engage they want, and now it's going to be rough as Path Lane for ages laid down the Condors to rest with a huge ultimate. Dorius, he's not going to be able to do much. Seismic Shard tries to kill him, but it doesn't matter as Hulk finds it. And this will be the Brooklyn Bulldogs charging into the shambling base of Conestoga. It's falling apart. It's nearly gone. And Eternity finds the kill on Leona, but it doesn't quite matter. So in 13:33, because that sounds the best, the Brooklyn Bulldogs win Game 3 and the series. I'm going to double check to make sure that it is only a best of 3 and not a best of 4 or a best of 5. Best of 4 are weird. It's best of 5. But that could be it for tonight, which is a heartbreaker because we saw them, the boys, our varsity League of Legends team, fight tooth and nail to stay in that game, to fight tooth and nail for this opportunity. And they put up one heck of a fight. It was one heck of a series from start to finish. It was fantastic. But alas, there will always need to be a winner. There will always need to be a loser. And by the looks of it, we know which is which right now. And I do believe it is the best of 3. That is what I'm seeing in some chats. And that it's only the finals that are a best of 5. So, Brooklyn Bulldogs, they win the series. They win the quarterfinals. They advance to the semifinals. And unfortunately, that does mean that the varsity team for League of Legends, their season comes to an end right now, which sucks. I wanted them to see them go the distance. The difference in the distance is the distance I wanted them to go. You know, they went further than I think any one of us expected. We may have had lofty hopes, and by all means, the team did the best they could to uphold those hopes. It was a great multiple seasons. It was the first year in NECC. We made playoffs for both seasons. We finished second in the spring season, which was phenomenal. We got seeded into the bracket stage for nationals, which is another huge feather in our cap. So by all means, it's been a successful season. We are officially in the top 8 for NECC champion tier teams. We can say that. That's huge. That's massive. That feels great to say. And so hopefully I can get a player perspective and interview here. So I'm going to throw it to a quick break and maybe come back with an interview. If not, I'll let you know and I'll wind us down. But hold on tight, because maybe we have that interview. So I'll be back in a couple. Well, I'm here with Eternity and the boy. Yeah, the other teammate here is a little bit shy, but we appreciate him regardless for the support. So, Eternity, you got the headset on. That
Yep.
means I'm asking you the questions.
Yes, sir.
Now, mustache care. What do you do for it?
Nothing.
Nothing? It's just naturally that glorious?
Yeah.
Kind of like GPs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? Look like GP next. I just can't. I can't do anything down here, and no oranges.
Well, oranges you can at least buy.
Yeah.
So you can also buy a knife and, next thing you know, you can cut up oranges to cure your scurvy.
Yes, sir.
So, I know right now there's probably a lot of conflicting emotions. Can you give insight to what you might be feeling right now?
I think I was happy with my performance in game 1 and 3. Game 2, obviously, I started off well, but went a little bit, didn't really temper the aggression, just because I felt very confident coming off game 1. I think I did my job perfectly in game 1, and then game 2, I kind of let it slip a little bit and kind of let myself down there. And then also obviously conflicting because, out of nationals, I'm graduating, so not going to be able to play with the boys anymore. That's probably the worst feeling out of it all, honestly, is that I'm not going to be able to play with the guys anymore.
I feel that. It sucks when you move on because you can appreciate the time you've had, but
Yeah.
saying goodbye always sucks. So I guess the only natural question is, what has playing on the team meant for you?
Oh, it's meant a lot, going into college, like I've played competitive league with just like random guys that I met on the internet for years, but playing with people that I could actually, talk to at school and that I actually get to know, creates a different atmosphere. And going into college, I didn't go in saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a bunch of friends. I'm just going to get my degree, get my diploma, get the hell out of here." That was all I cared about. And then, now it's been kind of probably the highlight of my college experience playing a varsity League of Legends. So, yeah, it's meant a lot.
I know, bud. I know. It has been a highlight.
Most
Just
definitely.
seeing this program step up from what it was in the pandemic to what it is now, it's been absolutely massive. And I know for myself, it's pushed me to be better. I think for you, just hearing that in your voice, it's definitely pushed you to be better, whether it's a better teammate, better player, better student in school. It's
Better
just
person.
made you a better person. And also, I know you've had support from outside the school as well. I believe your girlfriend was in today, right?
Yeah, she's watching. People that I worked with during my co-op are talking to me about League of Legends. They're like, "So what do you play?" And I'm like, "You guys have no idea what you're talking about." But, I love that they even are interested at all. So, it makes me feel, all warm inside.
All warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
So I guess one more reflective, kind of future-looking question is, at the beginning of the year, very beginning, back in September, what were your hopes for the year? Did you meet them? Did you surpass any expectations?
Let's see. Let me think back then. Well, first, playing on the starting roster, I think setting small goals is an important thing in life, and meeting those small goals that eventually build up into longer-term goals. I didn't. My goal is, play a couple of games as a sub, improve, get out of plat after being like hard stuck that season, and then, going from, "Oh, no, you're not a sub, now you're a starter," to, "Oh, we're in playoffs, we're winning, we're in finals," like going to nationals, like that's, it's insane. It's really, it's a trip. It's beyond my expectations, our performance in the season, and yeah, I'm pumped.
Pumped is a good way to sum it up. And even with the loss here tonight, there's still no reason to not be pumped because you finished top 8
Oh no, yeah.
in 4 to 8 for the NEC Champions Division, and we know that the Champions Division in NECC is stacked with talent. It's the second highest competitive tier that NECC has, and you proved that you could hang with some of the best players that there is. So even though it's a bittersweet moment for you, there's still every reason to hold your head high.
Yeah, no, I'm not. There's no way I'd be ashamed of even of that series. Like, you lose 2 games, but we took one, and like, they have master players. I'm D4, literally was platinum a week ago. Like,
I mean,
we're the lowest ranking team in every single match we've ever played, regards to average rank. And being an underdog, you don't always win, but you still took the fight to them. At the end of the day, you didn't back down and cower. We played all 3 games with our hearts out. Like, even in game 2 where we were suffering, we were still trying to go for those fights and set up death brushes and try and get something going, just because we didn't give up. Like, we kept trying to win. At least I didn't. I didn't give up, and I can be proud of that till. So yeah.
yes, you can. How was the coach's impact? Because we don't often hear about Yuri, who has fabulous hair, who has barely been here in person. So he's been an online coach. How has his presence helped you?
No, it's helpful. I've said, as I said earlier, I've played a lot of amateur over the years, like 4 or 5 years of experience, and I've had some coaches that were pretty brutal. And Yuri stands at the top 2, and the other person that even comes that is as close to him is a guy that basically, or he was a grandmaster jungler, so he just took my jungler from a gold jungler to a diamond level jungler. So in regards to that, I think Yuri matches up to that guy evenly, just because he's very good at keeping us, not just as a coach, but as like someone to keep us organized. Like, that's very good. He's understanding but also critical without making it an attack on anyone. I think he does a fantastic job, and been a great help.
I guess for me that is all the questions I really have, and I appreciate you coming here for the interview. I know it's tough doing an interview right after a loss. Is there any final words you want to say? Any shout outs? Just anything that you want to get off your chest here?
Shout out Matt, shout out Ricky, Justin, Daniel, Danny, everyone that has contributed to this season. Of course, Zach, Yuri, yourself for making us look good out there. Yeah, no, I have super thankful for everything that Conestoga has set up for us to be able to play these games and be varsity athletes. And yeah, I'm just extremely thankful to everyone that's been part of the journey.
Man, this is probably the best interview I've ever had from a player. Honestly, thank you.
I try.
So that unfortunately does wrap up the season here. We end on a loss, but we hold our heads high regardless as we get Ricky dragged into the screen here as well. Our star mid laner who came in, really made a difference as well. And Lopachinski, the team captain, he's had his moments.
He's had his heyday.
So that wraps it up here. Thanks for coming by, and we have the Rocket League Nationals later on this week, so make sure to tune in then. Until then, join the flight. Okay, now where's my ending now? Okay, first of all, where's the mouse? Guys, I don't see the mouse. Gotta find the mouse. Okay.